Dr. Evans, I'm sending you the link, okay?
Hmm?
I'm sending you the link.
Oh,
Just WhatsApp it to you.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
You sent it to me too, Trish?
Yes, ma'am. I'm doing a rotten Neo.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got to empower, educate, and encourage your women to motivate you through whatever you've been going through. We can talk about it. We ain't passing no judgment. Don't be ashamed. It's all the same. Stay in your lane. Your lane. It's whatever your real life will right. Stay in your lane. Your mouth is dark and don't be ashamed. Your lane. Let's have a conversation of what we face every day. Tune into your lane talk show. It makes us feel good just to know we're not alone. No more will we be like the lady that gets aside. I want you to come up and talk. Just don't be afraid of your heart. Just don't be ashamed. It's all the same. Stay in your lane. Your lane. It's whatever your real life looks like. Stay in your lane. Come up the talk and don't be ashamed. Your lane. Let's have a conversation of what we face every day. It's your Lane Talk Show with Coach Trish Hanna.
You like to cut me off now, Beats. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Happy Sunday to each and every one of you. Welcome to your Lane Talk Show with your coach, Trish Hanna, broadcasting live from the beautiful Nassau, Bahamas. As always, it's always a privilege to have you joining with us today every Sunday. Now, this is it's been 2 weeks since we've been live. Due to circumstances beyond our control, but we're glad to be back. Now, I remember when we were here and live in studio, we were commemorating International Women's Day under the topic Bahamian Women Helping Women, and we had with us our guests Alexis Darville, Minister Patrice Demerit, and Candy Gibson, and these ladies discussed the various charities and ministries that they were involved in or are involved in, the challenges they faced, and of course, the way forward for them in helping hurting women in our country. And this is episode 90. And of course, if you want to go ahead and watch that, you can go to YouTube, Coach Trish Hanna, episode 90, Bahamian Women Helping Women. It was a wonderful show. It was a heartwarming show, and there were some people who inboxed me and say, hey, I have this that I'm doing this, I'm doing that. That's fine. I want you to know this is not the only, this is going to be a series. All right, so that's not the only show where we're highlighting Bahamian women. Of course, there are so many women out there that are doing things, some that are doing things anonymously. There are some who particularly don't care to be highlighted, but they're doing something. So, of course, I just want to salute you women for doing what you're doing. And of course, even if we highlight you, the blessings that, we are the what's the word I want to say? We can't give you the blessings that is really stored up for you. That's the best way I could put it. In other words, your blessings will come from God. Man's accolades can only say so much and it can only take you so far. But when you're doing things unto the honor and glory of God, what you're doing is not going to benefit you, but benefit your children and your children's children. Amen to that, right? Amen to that. Okay, so go and check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to waste any more time because I'm going to go straight into this. There's so much to cover because we're covering something for both men and women. All right. It's time to share the page. It's time to share the page. Go and tag someone, tell someone for a fact has been going through issues regarding infertility. Today, we're going to tackle a topic close to the hearts of many. And of course, we want to know what is infertility. We want to know the basics of it. We want to know some of the things that would can possibly cause this. We will be talking to a distinguished doctor, an expert in the field of reproductive health, who will shed light on the the often overlooked aspect of infertility in men. And alongside our esteemed doctor, we have a courageous guest who's been here before, and of course, she has so much experience. Um, uh, she's experienced the trials of infertility firsthand, which is another reason why we are excited to have on the show. So it's not just her speaking about it; it's her experience. Together we'll delve into the fundamentals of infertility, breaking down barriers of misconception and fostering a deeper understanding. It's a conversation rooted in compassion, driven by knowledge, and fueled by the shared determination to empower those who are on their own fertility journey. And there was something that I shared on my personal WhatsApp status that says, "He who feels it knows it," when I actually had the flyer up. And of course, I was one that experienced, went through that journey as well. And I know of so many others, including those that are near and dear to me who've been through that same experience. So I want you to, for those who who've been through that same trial, the same journey, that same situation where you're battling, okay, should I continue doing this or should I give up? We call them today. Let them know that help is on the way. Let them know that there are women, not just the guests, but also the host who have experienced this title and has been and proven God to be the creator of all things. All right, that's the best way I can put it. I have three. I have three now. When I thought that nothing was happening for me, I have three beautiful children by God's grace. And I want you to know there's nothing that's impossible for God. My predictions for this episode, I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to ask Odessa quickly to tell me. Come, Des. You got a mic? Come. Come right here. Tell me what you think. What are your predictions for today's show?
I think today we're going to have 90% aha moments because this is going to be a very, very educational session. I think we're going to have maybe about 8% teardrops because there are going to be some people who are going to realize that this information was available all this time and they weren't even aware of it. And they're going to realize that they can trust God again to actually do what it is that they want them to do. And then we're going to have maybe 2% laughter. Yeah, it's I don't think it's going to be a whole lot of jokes, but I think we're going to have a really aha moment show today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a touchy subject.
This
Topic is very heavy. So we want to go into it and we want to do it, as we want to be as delicate as possible as we go through this because for those who the couples, please have your spouse listening because we have a urologist on and ready to roll to answer whatever questions that you may pose or send. You can go right now to on Facebook and type in Your Lane Life Coaching where you can watch us live. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and text the question in and post it. Or if you want to be discreet, you can text this number 1-242-376-8689. And that's for the male and females. You can go ahead and text it. I'll say it again. 1-242-376-8689. Okay. So go ahead and text, or you can post if you have any questions for our guests today. You can also watch us, not watch us, but listen to us on channel 976 on cable, or you can go to the radio dial star 106.5 FM. Okay. All right. So Your Lane, episode 91, Understanding Infertility, Breaking Down the Basics, is brought to you by The Perfume Bar, John Shoe Store and Accessories, Your Lane Life Coaching, Nor Rice and Pesticides, distributed by Asa H. Pritchard, O. Henry Candy, distributed by Asa H. Pritchard, and Libby's Vienna Sausages, distributed by Asa H. Pritchard. Okay. Now let's go straight into it. Let's introduce our first guest I have with me in studio, the first Bahamian to study urology in the Bahamas. Woo! This is practice urology in the Bahamas is Dr. Joseph Evans. Dr. Evans has obtained his medical degree at the University of Miami, urology residency, Howard University, Washington, D.C., specialized urology training, Tel Aviv, Israel. He has done his private practice both here in the Bahamas and the state of Florida for 42 years. And our virtual guest is Dr. Latazia Stuart, also known as Dr. Taz. I love her energy, y'all. Y'all can see what I mean. Y'all who don't know her, you're gonna see the end. If you were sleeping, you better wake up now because that's the energy she has, and I love it. She is an extraordinary international speaker, a fertility coach. And after years of suffering in silence and hiding shamefully behind her infertility and pregnancy losses, Dr. Taz vulnerably shares her personal journey with these issues to build hope and bring joy to other women and couples suffering in silence like she did. As a doctor of education with 20 plus years of experience in higher education, she has served as a leader, coach, speaker, and group facilitator in various settings. Dr. Taz works with individuals, groups, and organizations to amplify and support the silent struggles of women suffering with infertility and pregnancy loss. I want to welcome you both with us on Your Lane Life Coach, Your Lane Talk Show. Welcome, Dr. Taz. Welcome, Dr. Evans. How are you today?
Thank you.
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful, wonderful.
It's wonderful. It's great to have you on board, and we want to go straight into it. We're going to go straight into our first questions. This is something for those who may not know that they're experiencing infertility. They may just think that they've been trying, and they probably just off on their counts, on their numbers, and for whatever reason. So we're going to start with the definition. So we're going to go with Dr. Evans first. Dr. Evans, what is infertility in men?
Well, not only in men, but we like to think of infertility in terms of a couple,
Right.
male and female.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
generally speaking, we look at infertility as the inability to conceive
Yes.
or to get a pregnancy. Now, most individuals, or I should say most couples,
Yes.
may not get pregnant right away
Yes.
as soon as they start trying. So we don't say a person is infertile,
Yes.
or we don't say a couple is infertile right away.
Right away.
Generally speaking, from a urologic point of view,
Yes.
we give ourselves at least a year to 18 months before we say there's a problem of infertility.
Mm-hmm.
Some individuals just simply don't get pregnant right away. Now, there are a number of reasons why a person may not get pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And what we call infertility may not be infertility, may be something else.
Ooh. Dun dun dun. So we're gonna find out what that something else is, but we're gonna ask Dr. Taz. Dr. Taz, I know that he basically said everything in a nutshell, but you may have something to add on to it because I wanted to distinguish the difference. But you can go ahead. The females, the version of what is infertility in women.
Yes, yes. And while we get going on talking on some medical issues, if I could put a medical disclaimer out there, Coach Trish, as many may know, and you said in the introduction, I have been in higher education for the past 20
Thank you,
plus
ma'am.
years. So I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a doctor of education. That's what I got my
Mm-hmm.
step. I want to make sure we put that there and nobody doesn't go and say, well, Dr. Taz described, and with her medical experience, let's make sure we have that on the record.
That is wonderful. Yes, yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
From the female perspective, and for somebody who has diagnosed with infertility, for me, I remember we were trying. I was in my late 20s, my husband and I, because they said you must get pregnant before you turn 30, right?
Oh.
We were trying, and it just wasn't happening. And I think we actually went to the doctor about maybe 9 to 10 months in. And while the definition is for 12 months, sometimes that guidance I give to individuals is that if they suspect something is off, it doesn't hurt to go and get checked out sooner. But the medical definition that they say, usually if you've been trying actively for 12 months and you're under the age of 35, that's when the medical definition defines you as infertile. And, if you're over 35 and you've been trying for 6 months, then, they say that's when you really should go and get checked out. But for me, I don't think any time is too early to go based on the individuals that I've been seeing and the ages that have been decreasing for those who are experiencing these challenges.
Wow. Yes. I mean, if you find as if because it don't take much. How is it even possible, right? When you are not pregnant. I mean, I'm sorry, when you're not married and you're not expecting to be pregnant and you're just having a jolly old time with some Joe Blow you just found down on the side of the road 2 seconds ago, and you just have a one night stand and plop, that's it. You're gone. Right? That ever, and I know for some of us, I don't know if that ever happened or ever came across your mind, Dr. Taz, when you were going through that process, because I know it did with me. When I was trying to, we were trying to conceive. I'm like, Huh? Because I mean, all they gotta do, I have. She don't mind me saying this, but I have a family member that if you breathe on her too hard, she pregnant. We call her fertile myrtle, okay? Because because it's just how it is. And then
Mhm.
you wonder why, you try to figure out what's going on with me. Why is it taking me so long? I'm trying to God, I'm doing everything right. What's going on? So we're gonna get into all of that because this obviously comes with a lot of emotions, and we want to we wanna make sure we cover all of that today. But let's move on. With Dr. Evans, you said that there were some issues regarding infertility in men, and there could be so many other factors that would cause men not to actually what's the word I want help with the conception with the female, right? I saying that right?
Well, when we talk about infertility, most people think of the female.
Mm-hmm.
However, at least half of the time, the problem is not the female. It could very well be, and often is, the male.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a number of reasons why a male may not be able to produce a pregnancy.
Let's discuss that.
Let me just mention a few of those reasons.
Right.
First of all, there is something that we call idiopathic reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this fancy word idiopathic, by the way, in medicine, we use a lot of big words for everything.
Yes.
This word idiopathic simply means unknown. Now, there are situations where no matter what investigations we do or what we try to determine, we just don't find anything.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, there's no pregnancy. Now, we do know there are a number of things that can affect a man's ability to produce a pregnancy. For example,
Mm-hmm.
a man may have what we call a low sperm count.
Yes.
He's producing sperm, which is necessary for the pregnancy. However, if his sperm count is below a certain level, he doesn't get a pregnancy. Now, only one sperm is necessary to fertilize the female
Yes.
egg.
Mm-hmm.
However, we know that it takes millions of sperm to accompany that one
Mm-hmm.
to get the pregnancy. We don't know why. Why so much moral support is necessary for
Mm-hmm.
that one to produce a pregnancy? We don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the way God made us. Now, there are a number of things, a number of factors that can affect a man's sperm,
Yes.
which can interfere with his sperm fertilizing the female egg. For example, I have seen many men during my practice who tried very hard to get a pregnancy,
Mm-hmm.
but the sperm count is so low. I've seen it as low as zero.
Hold on.
And
Before you
yeah,
continue, whatever happened to Guinness? And they say Guinness is help with that, and they say that the conch is help with the sperm count.
I wouldn't.
Is that a myth
I wouldn't, as far as I know, it is. I wouldn't recommend alcohol to
at
anybody,
all?
if not at all.
Okay,
As a matter of fact, it may interfere, not help.
not help. Oh,
No.
and what about conch?
Uh, the conch is what we call an aphrodisiac.
Yes.
An aphrodisiac is simply any substance that can get you sexually excited.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is, not only is conch an aphrodisiac, anything is an aphrodisiac. Anything that a person associates with his sexuality is an
Mm-hmm.
aphrodisiac.
Mm-hmm.
Drinking water can be an aphrodisiac if that's what turns you on.
Oh, gee.
See?
All right. So all these Bahamian myths and things that we come up with
Let,
to say to help with the sperm
let me
count.
give you an example of why that cannot be so.
Mm-hmm.
The population of the Bahamas at this time is about 400,000.
Mm-hmm.
If conch was an aphrodisiac, the population of the Bahamas would be at least 4 million by now.
You are quite
See?
right, sir.
All right. Okay.
I read it all the time. You
Not
are
me.
quite right, sir.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
But
Go ahead.
there are many other things that can affect a man's sperm.
Yeah.
For example,
Mm-hmm.
there are blood vessels in the pelvic area
Mm-hmm.
that that go to and from the testicles where the sperm are made.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that if a man has enlarged veins
Mm-hmm.
in his what we call the spermatic cord, or the veins that go take the blood from the testicles, if those veins are enlarged, We don't know how or why, but we do know that can interfere with his normal production of sperm.
Mm.
Now, over the years, I've operated on I don't know how many men to correct that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, interestingly, I've that problem is called a varicocele, meaning enlarged veins. Now, interestingly, I've operated on men and corrected that problem surgically,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had a number of men return to me for a vasectomy to stop having kids.
Oh, gee.
So, but the good news is,
Mm-hmm.
in that particular case, it's a correctable problem.
Right.
And oftentimes, the man who is not getting a pregnancy has a correctable problem. Now, one of the things that I've seen a lot, men who smoke marijuana
Yes.
have a decrease in the sperm count, and I've
Yes.
seen it all the way down to zero. So I don't recommend marijuana to anybody,
No.
a young man who wants a pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
My advice is keep away from that stuff
Mm-hmm.
if you want to have kids. Yeah? Now, there is something that came to my attention just recently,
Mm-hmm.
something I did not know. A laboratory technologist pointed out to me
Mm-hmm.
that there are common things that can affect the viability of sperm. And I said, what are you talking about?
Yes.
So this technologist said, let me demonstrate. And lo and behold, she was correct. I did not know, for
Mm-hmm.
example,
Mm-hmm.
that common things like soaps, colognes, perfumes, these type of things can make a big difference in whether you get a pregnancy or not.
Mhm.
The
I did not
sperm,
know that.
now I knew as a urologist, I knew sperm are very sensitive organisms
Mm.
and they respond to things. But this technologist I just referred to demonstrated to me that common things like alcohol, like rubbing alcohol,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yes, or colognes, that type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
can affect a man's sperm, the viability of the sperm. Now, what we now know and what has been determined that if you're going to have sex and hope to get a pregnancy, don't wear colognes, don't wear perfumes, do it naturally, be natural.
Mhm.
Now, help me out here, sir, because I would think that obviously the sperm is internal. So, how is that impacting something that is perhaps on your skin or your clothing or whatever have you while you're going through that intercourse process?
When a man produces sperm, there's a lot that that sperm has to do, and there's a great distance that sperm has to travel.
Yes.
First, it has to travel from him to her,
Yes.
and it passes through the vaginal canal,
Mm-hmm.
through the cervix of the womb. That's an opening of the womb.
Yes.
That sperm has to travel or swim through the womb all the way out into what we call the fallopian tubes.
Mm-hmm.
The pregnancy does not occur in the womb. That is not where it starts. The pregnancy starts way out in what we call the fallopian
Tubes.
tubes.
Mm-hmm.
The fallopian tube is what collects the egg from the ovary,
Mm-hmm.
and it's out there in the fallopian tube where the pregnancy begins.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the sperm meets the egg. Now, if the sperm has been influenced by whatever, the chemical or whatever, that the viability or the ability to swim can be affected. And the sperm may have a problem getting to the egg.
Mm.
Now, another factor is some men produce lots of sperm, millions and billions of sperm, but his sperms are abnormal. By abnormal, I mean the head of the sperm may be too big
Mm-hmm.
or too small, or the tail may be too short or too long, or it may be a sperm with two heads instead of one. All kinds of abnormalities can
Mm-hmm.
occur.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, that's another way you get twins.
I was just going to say to you, get twins,
No,
but
that's
go
another way you
ahead.
get twins.
Uh-huh.
But these abnormalities that occur in sperm, you see? So along with these physical structural abnormalities,
Yes.
there are physiology rather, the physiological abnormalities like the movement of the sperm. The sperm may be too sluggish, too slow. There may be chemical reasons for that. For example, if the mineral content of the semen, for example, zinc,
Mm-hmm.
zinc is a very important mineral for pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
If the zinc level is too low in the semen, the sperm may not be as motile or as active as
Mhm.
they need to be to make that journey.
Mm. There's so many different factors.
Oh, yes.
There was
Now,
a lot.
some men don't get pregnancies simply because they're on medications.
Yes.
So there are a number of illnesses, medical problems that can interfere with a man producing a pregnancy. And there are a number of medicines that can
Hmm.
interfere with the sperm of men that interfere with pregnancies.
So let's stop right there. We're going to take a quick break because we want to hear from Dr. Taz as well regarding, the female issues. Now, she says she's not a medical doctor, but she's been through a lot. She's experienced it. And of course, she coached other women that go through it, and she works hand in hand with doctors, gynecologists. So she have an idea, of some of the questions that I'm about to ask her. And so let me just let you know what I'm going to ask in advance. We're going to talk about some of the common problems that causes infertility in women, and I'm most certain that she's capable of answering that. But let's just take a quick break, and then we'll come right back to hear the response. Stay tuned.
Oh, Henry, I call candy bar. The features crunchy. Did you want all three of these to play
No, one each. Yeah, because there's 3 breaks, right? Yeah. Thanks. Yes, please. Can I talk on Facebook? Hey,
Yeah,
Facebook. I hope all is well with you, Dr. Taz. Let me get her real quick. Let me
I'm
see
here.
her. There you go. You good?
Yeah, good man.
Good. That's good. I'll make sure you're good. All right. So if anyone have any questions, go ahead and ask your questions. Please share the page. You have a question? Okay. We'll wait. You want to ask that when we go
See
on
some
there?
folks there too on the Facebook side, Shianda and Jillian and Yolanda. Let's say hello to them while we're on break. Thanks for coming on today.
I can't pull it up right now because I'm not sure. I don't feel comfortable searching that up on my
Mhm.
computer. But I saw an article on the from the Mayo Clinic
Mhm.
that suggested that certain things that can be done during the act of having sex, namely cunnilingus,
Yeah.
can actually prevent pregnancy because they're suggesting that the acidity of the saliva could
Have an
act as a
effect.
spermicide. Does that make sense to you? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but can they hear
Yeah,
this?
sure.
Are you able to hear that question? Those who are watching and listening, you want me to repeat it? Okay. Okay. So while we're on our break, real quick, our producer asked a question. Said he actually saw something on a website where Mayo Clinic website where sorry? Awesome. So you heard his question. Okay, so just to reiterate a little bit, they said that when you're indulging in or actively involved in kind of what 10 seconds. Oh, so let me just wait till I come online then.
Oh, she understood. She heard
On Facebook. Right, yeah.
You're listening to Your Lane with Coach Trish Hanna.
Hello, welcome back to Your Lane Talk Show with Coach Trish Hanna. Our guest for today is Dr. Joseph Evans, a urologist here in the Bahamas, and a really, really, really keen one too, and the first one to study urology in the Bahamas. If y'all didn't know that, all right. And then we also have with us Dr. Latazia Stuart, who is, I mean, she's basically everything. She's experienced this. She's an author. She's a speaker. She's what else? A coach. She facilitates women, mentors women with infertility issues. So of course we know what we're talking about. We're going to bring the best of the best here on the show so that we can help you all. Now, just before we went, right during our break, right, I'm just going to ask this question real quick, and I'm going to ask Dr. Evans this question, and then if Dr. Taz knows the answer, of course, she can go ahead and elaborate on that. But our producer asked a question. Now, the biological term for this is cunnilingus. I can't remember lingus, right? All right, so I'm going to use that instead of saying going down. All right, but when
Everybody know the going down one.
that's it. Oh, that's what that is. Yes. So I'm going to use the layman terms and I'm going to use a biological term. All right. And that's how we do it on the show. But his question is, hey, when a man goes down on a woman or a woman goes down on a man or whatever have you, does that affect the sperm in any way, when trying to conceive because of the acidity in the saliva?
I would now my answer is based on my experience as a urologist.
Right.
I think that's a good way not to get a pregnancy. And the reason I say that is because when I think of the physiology
Mm-hmm.
of semen, the physiology of sperm,
Mm-hmm.
and what it takes to get a pregnancy, I can see where that can very well interfere with getting a pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if we, and I don't want to be too scientific or too
Right.
medical,
Right.
but if we look at the acid level, or what you call the acidity of the
Mm-hmm.
vagina,
Mm-hmm.
and the acidity, the normal acidity of the vagina, and the
Mm-hmm.
normal acidity of the mouth,
Mm-hmm.
saliva, or like we Bahamians say, spit,
Mm-hmm.
they're different. And one can neutralize the other. That chemical reaction can interfere with what I just mentioned a moment ago about sperm motility and the movement of sperm.
Mm.
Sperm are very, very sensitive to the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things chemically don't have to come in contact with the sperm in order to affect the sperm. And this is what I was alluding to a moment ago when I mentioned this stuff about colognes and
Yes.
perfumes and stuff like that. Those things don't have to come in contact with the sperm. But because it's in the environment,
Mm-hmm.
sperm is sensitive enough to react to it.
Wow. Are we learning things, Adessa? We learning things. Dr. Taz, what are your views on about this question? Then we can move ahead with the infertility in women.
Yeah, one of the comments I think that was made earlier that Dr. Evans shared was around how that there are sometimes these products that we may use, like perfume and colognes and alcohols, that people don't realize may be impacting their fertility journey. And there's more natural things that are being brought up now in conversations that are showing that you can use to replace what you have so that it does not impact your fertility journey. So, yeah, I'm seeing an increasing number of individuals who, when they start to replace some of the products that they have been using, they're seeing some levels of improvement in their
Mm.
journey.
What about lubrication? Maybe you can continue on with that. I know certain lubrications, certain lubes have scents and flavors and all these other things. Does that also impact, you think?
So I'll share with you when I was going to the doctor, they were saying your husband only need to use the clean white soap, nothing with fragrance,
Right.
nothing with the how they say none of the foo stuff goes down there
Mm-hmm.
when you guys are going at it
Mm-hmm.
because some of the foo we how we like the bubble bath scents and
And
the
smell good.
all the different fragrance of the name brands. I'm gonna call nobody name brand store here,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
all those places we like to go and spray and nice and do things with.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, no. I remember
No.
specifically being told, cut that out.
Wow. So let's get into the question, man, because we wanna balance this out for the men and women. What
Mhm.
seem to be the most common problem that causes infertility in women based on what you've been hearing?
So what's interesting is, Trish, there are more and more younger women who are starting to experience infertility issues. And
Mm,
so I think one of the things that we're lacking or don't have enough information around yet, and this is something that I'm advocating around, is what could be contributing to those factors. We know diet, we know weight, we know that there are sometimes some genetic things that may have contributed to how the how do we say the give me the word that the makeup of
mhm,
somebody uterus may be impacting how it comes in,
mhm,
um, and so there are those things, but there are some women who experience some of the diagnosis we may have heard very frequently of, which includes like fibroids, endometriosis,
yeah,
PCOS, and one that's becoming more prevalent that's concerning to me when I get consults is low AMH levels. So AMH refers to the anti-Mullerian hormone, and correct me if I'm saying that a little wrong, but that's Dr. Evans. I said it correctly. Anti-Mullerian hormone, right? I think that's
Yes,
one. That's the
I hear
AMH.
you.
But
Yeah.
what it is that women who are diagnosed with this particular, who receive this diagnosis,
Mhm.
what it is that they have a low egg count for their respective age. And so when you have an individual is in their late 20s, in fact, I got a call from somebody in the Family Island. She's 28
Mhm.
years of age. She's been married for 4 years and she was diagnosed with low AMH. That means that her egg count is that of somebody in their late 40s. So
Mm.
I'm seeing more and more individuals with that particular diagnosis. There are some celebrities who have shared that, and hence why they've had to go the fertility treatment route
Yeah.
so that they
Yeah.
can increase their egg count to be able to conceive.
Um, you went a little ahead of me, but let me just go on to that. We want to talk about the IVF, and first of all, do you recommend it? And do you happen to know the average cost associated with getting one? Because I know there are people who have to, at some point, not have to, but eventually end up with IVF or having some form of fertility treatment. What are your thoughts on that?
So I'll share with you, from my personal journey, and I talk about this in my book. That was something I never expected to be a part of my story. It was something that I thought was, you would say, that for other people, that ain't for me, right? Especially as somebody of faith, my God could do anything. I don't need no medical treatment to have children, right? So that when I actually had to encounter the use of that, I came to realize, just like how we have orthopedic treatment for individuals that may have a broken bone, we have chemotherapy treatment for those that may be struggling with cancer. We have all these various forms of treatments that are available. The same thing is available for those that are going through the challenges with fertility. God has given doctors wisdom to be able to assist individuals through the various medical challenges that they may be having. And so for me, okay, different for everybody else. For me, I recommend it to pursue if you've explored all the other options, and or if after time you've been seeing that this may be an option for you to grow your family, that it could be considered.
Mm-hmm. Because you do have some people of faith who be as just as you said, hey, I am going to depend on God to do this, and I'm not going through all of this, and I'm not going through all of that. But there are some times when the men have to be the ones to go and get some type of fertility treatment.
Sure. I've treated a whole lot of men
Let's go.
for fertility problems.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, there are many, many reasons why a male
Mm-hmm.
may be the factor in the infertility of a couple.
And what is the most common for Bahamian men?
That's difficult to say, but I'll say a few things. This problem I mentioned about the varicocele,
Mm-hmm.
very, very common. Now, all men who have varicoceles are not necessarily infertile,
Mm-hmm.
but many men with varicoceles have a problem with fertility. The smoking of pot, grass, marijuana
Mm-hmm.
is a very common problem. I've seen it many, 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 many times.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there are various medical problems that can render man infertile. Many men are on medications. The medications themselves will cause a man to become infertile.
Mm-hmm.
An example, chemotherapy.
Yeah.
If a man is taking no powerful chemicals for whatever reason, can interfere. Exposure to radiation can have the same effect. So there are many possible reasons why a man may be infertile.
Can you explain the role of sperm health in male infertility and what factors can affect it? So, in other words, how, I
Mhm.
mean, you already shared this. You shared one
Mhm.
factor of it with the different alcohol and perfume, cologne, etc. But are there any other factors?
If a couple is having a problem with fertility, we investigate the female side of it and the male side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, years gone by, men thought,
None wrong with that.
if I'm a man, I can produce a child.
Mm-hmm.
Not so. We now know better. Investigating the female is only half of the situation. The male has to be investigated. And as a urologist, I've done that investigation on many many men.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, in many men, that's the problem. It's not her. He is the problem.
Mm.
Fortunately, very often he has a correctable problem. So the trick is to find out what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
Once we determine the problem, there's almost always a possible solution.
I love that.
Now, I want to say this. You mentioned a moment ago about IVF, in
Yes.
vitro fertilization.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big issue in the United States. I hope that never becomes an issue in the Bahamas.
You want to talk about your reasons or your values
Well, my
or?
reason for saying that, well, I think when we come to intimate um, problems
Mm-hmm.
and intimate decisions, I think those decisions should be made by the couple and God.
Mm. No interference.
No interference
Yeah.
by anybody else. No,
Ah.
especially politicians.
Oh.
They have their own problems to deal with.
Of course.
I support
Absolutely.
I support what Dr. Evans is saying, because being here in the United States and seeing some of the challenges that some of the individuals that I know who I've been in communication with on social media and various forums, and I spoke about this just recently on another platform that I was on, and that was very specific about what was happening in the state of Alabama. I mean, it's public knowledge, right? Everybody knows
Mm-hmm.
Alabama. There was a ruling that came down that eventually led to fertility treatment being stopped in the state, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those that were in the middle of the treatment that had already invested time and money, they were at a halt. And
Mm-hmm.
we've heard many of their cries and woes, because it's like there's so much that's involved. And I just imagine if I was in their shoes going through the process, having the hope now that I could build my family, and for it to come to a halt because of a political, in my opinion, it's all an agenda.
Yeah.
Um, that was very disheartening. That was very disheartening. And so I support Dr. Evans in saying I hope that never becomes an issue in the Bahamas, where we find our governmental authorities imposing regulations on what happens
All
with
right.
a couple on their reproductive health. Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead, sir.
One of the things when I talk about infertility, I always make it a point to mention,
Mm-hmm.
because a couple does not produce a pregnancy right away, does not mean that the couple is infertile.
Yes.
Like anything else, sometimes things take time.
Yes.
I think about my own marriage. I always wanted to have kids, and I looked forward to having children.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got married, it didn't happen right away.
How long did it take?
7 years.
Oh, wow.
And after 7 years, I decided that children were just not for me. God didn't want me to have any kids. And as soon as I thought that, my wife got pregnant.
Wow. Could it be the stress from it all, sir? Could it be y'all was
Well,
just trying too hard? What do you think it was?
you may have a point. And the reason I say you have a point is because uh, I got married. I met my wife in pharmacy school.
Mm-hmm.
I already had a college degree, but I went back to get another degree in pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
And I met my wife the first day of class, pharmacy school.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Offered her a ride home,
Mm-hmm.
and she's been riding ever since.
Oh, pun intended. Let's go. Let's go, sir.
Love
Let's
it.
on that one. Todd, you up?
Yes,
Let's go.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I want to hear that story.
Go ahead.
And we wanted a child, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
7 years later, yeah,
It just
she got pregnant.
wow.
So we had a beautiful daughter after 7 years. 8 years later, she got pregnant again,
Ooh.
and we had a handsome son.
Mm-hmm.
So nature affect different people in different ways.
Different ways. Yeah.
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 So could it be that because with me, I was extremely anxious. Like our timeline and our time does not, I mean, some of us, and I could say me because I was one of them. I mean, I went to the point where I wanted to, I don't know, I started thinking about adopting. And to be honest with you, I didn't know, it was only about 2 years for me.
Mhm.
And then and when we did conceive, we lost
Mhm.
the first one. So it's like, oh well, I don't think I can ever, but I still believe somehow God remembered me at some point, and that's only because I kept reading the story of Hannah, that was trying to help me in my faith. But you have other people who may not be as patient, because we now live in this microwavable society where they want it and they want it now. So what happens in situations where people just get so despondent and so quick to want to hurry up do something, and then they spend all this money trying to conceive?
I can understand what you're saying. And as a matter of fact, what you just said made me think back to my wife's first pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the time, I was in medical school
Mm-hmm.
at the University of Miami studying medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just done my uh, OB/GYN,
Mm-hmm.
obstetrics, um, rotation. So I thought I'd learn a lot about
The female,
babies
yeah.
and females and pregnancy and all that
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Doc, well rounded. You see that?
it's, it, it,
Pharmacist,
it's, it's,
everything.
it's, interesting, it's interesting that, to me, I found it interesting that one evening I cooked dinner
Mm-hmm.
and my wife ate her dinner. I did. But after a while, she started having problems. She felt like she was having indigestion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had just learned that how to recognize pregnancy and
Yes. Indigestion
you
is one of those symptoms. Mm-hmm.
labor and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my wife, no, this was 4.5 months into her pregnancy. I said, I just learned the signs you have. You're in labor.
Uh-oh.
It turned out that she was actually in labor at
Wow.
4.5 months. So
Wow.
we called the obstetrician. He said, get her to the hospital right away. And fortunately, everything went beautifully. And she, 4.5 months later, had a beautiful daughter.
Wow. See, it's these type of testimonies where they keep you going. That's why, for those who know someone who is in the process of trying to conceive, and they've been married for a few years, please, man, let them tune in. Tell them about this show. Dr. Taz has a story too. Let me let Dr. Taz talk, because y'all ain't ready. Y'all ready? Dr. Taz, you think they're ready for your story? Come, let's go.
I
We're
know,
gonna
man.
give
It's so
you.
many layers, so many layers. It's so many layers, so many
Listen,
layers.
do it as, I don't know how quickly you can
Yeah,
do this, mom, but
yeah.
I want them to know what you've been through. See, Dr. Evanston share his. I want you to share a little bit of yours. Let's encourage somebody today, Dr.
Yes,
Taz.
yes, yes. You see, the thing is, many of us who have been given the promise of God sometimes forget the promise. Sometimes we look at our situations and everything that we're going through, and we think that it's over. And in my coaching program that I provide to my clients, one of the things I share with them, that's one of the first thing I ask is, where are you with regard to the promise of God? Do you believe that is something that He gave you? Now, there are some people who could wholeheartedly say, you know what, Dr. Jazz, I ain't sure, because, my husband actually been doing such and such, and and you can tell. And those are people I said, well, I may not be the coach for you. There is a coach for everybody, but I may not be that one. But if you're somebody who's walking hand in hand with God and you have been given that promise, no matter what it looks like on that journey, God doesn't go back on His word. That's my personal belief. All
Mm-hmm.
right. And I was one of those individuals where God had actually given me a vision before I even encountered my first pregnancy loss, before I realized I was having challenges of even getting pregnant. He gave me a vision that I talk about also in this book, on Yamacraw Beach, on the eastern end of this island, where I actually had a vision of being with my children
Come on.
out there over the ocean. So that's a very sacred place for me whenever I'm in Nassau. And lo and behold, if I had known when I had that vision and was holding on to that promise, I would then have pregnancy losses. I would have failed fertility treatments. Me and my husband would pass out inside of the room when the doctor told us, we're sorry, there's no more a heartbeat. Had I known that was a journey, I might have tell God, you know what, let's how they say, skip to the good part, because
Fast forward.
yeah. But the thing is to not lose sight of the promise, because today I can tell you, despite the journey that I went through, as painful as it was, and God knows sometimes I would look back and be like, man, did we really have to do all of that, Lord? Or allow all of that to happen? But now that I've gone through that process and been able to now see the promise come to fruition through the birth of my 3 miracles. Each one of them is a story. I can tell you, God doesn't go back on His word. God doesn't go back on His word.
I love that right there. And you didn't even have to say much, but you said a lot in that, and I thank you for that. I thank you for sharing that. So Dr. Evans, let's talk. Let's help the men who are tuning in now. And what are steps that men can take to improve their fertility? Let's say for those who may not be smoking, who trying to, they just got married and it's been probably a couple months and nothing has happened yet. What are ways that they can enhance that?
The first thing a man wants to do is to make sure that he is in good overall health.
Hmm.
Now, in order to be in good health, you first have to eat right.
Yes.
Now, a lot of men, especially men, like to eat junk food.
Yeah.
That's not the best way to be healthy.
Chicken in the bag.
Yes,
Yes.
etc. That's right.
Etc. Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, I'd recommend that a man do whatever he can to keep his overall health in good shape,
Yes.
like exercise, take vitamins. Most men don't like to take vitamins, feel that they don't need them.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, take vitamins and minerals. Minerals are very important for the health of sperm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if you have any sign or any symptom of anything, get yourself to a doctor.
That's
Most
right there.
men
You
don't like going to
that's what I was gonna
doctors.
talk about.
You
I
see?
had another urologist on the show last year and they
Hmm.
and they said there are problems. He has problems with men coming in to get a physical, an
Yes,
annual.
that's
Men don't
correct.
want, and half of them have insurance from their workplaces that give them their annuals for free.
That is correct. And
Oh, Trish, one
incidentally,
of the things with that is, and that's why it's good that we're having this conversation. We
Mhm.
have to, as a community, break the silence around these type of issues and normalize the conversation so that men can start believe, you know what, hey boy, guess what happened? Y'all listen to that show yesterday, but like right now how we're having this show, they need to be tomorrow in the gym saying, boy, y'all listen to that show yesterday with Dr. Evans. Y'all,
Mhm.
like normalize the conversation around these type of issues so that brothers can feel comfortable
Yes.
mhm,
in going to their doctors.
But what do you think, oh, Dr. Taz, what do you think that is, though? I mean, as women, we don't understand this for the life of me. Why is it that some men refuse? It's just an annual. You ain't really doing much. Just go in, get your little blood work, get your heart check, do whatever it is that needs to be cholesterol, see what's going on with you, and then just go your merry way. But what do you think the issue is? You think it's pride? The fear of hearing bad news?
Men's wrong. Men's wrong. You're weak if you got to go to the doctor, man. You're weak. We've been using certain things and saying certain things in our culture for so long that it's become, systemically in our minds that that's the way it's supposed to be. But if we start from young, letting our young men know, yeah, you really need to be going to the doctor on a regular basis. Like Dr. Evans said, if you sense something is wrong, go and
Go
get
get
checked
that
out.
up. Exactly.
I'm going to share something with that right now.
Yes.
My husband, in fact, we just saw it. I don't know where it dropped from, but we just saw a picture of a colonoscopy that he had done.
Mm.
You want to hear how old he was when we had this done and what was found? He was 32. My husband was 32 years of age when there was a polyp that was found in his colon.
Mm.
And that polyp, when it was biopsied, had cancer in it. Now, this isn't a story we have shared too much. Very often
Of
on
course.
um, um, opportunities like it just comes up, right? But I think back on that time, and I remember the symptoms that he had that led to say,
Mhm.
"Hey, you go get this checked out." And thank
Mhm.
God we did, because I may not have had a husband today. We all know
Wow.
that colon cancer is one of those ones. It's that it could take you out.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I caught it early, and it had not gone into the stalk to enter the colon. But this is why our brothers need to go and get checked out. This could be also when you don't go and there could be something that be hindering you guys having a pregnancy.
Mhm.
You could be limiting your future generations from coming forth. You're limiting your legacy. Why not go to the doctor?
Absolutely.
let me say this. Many men look at going to a doctor as a sign of weakness,
Hmm.
and most men don't like to be perceived as being weak.
Mm.
But the fact is, it takes a strong man to face the reality that something is wrong with him and
Mm-hmm.
go and see about it.
Come on. It takes a strong man, all right, to go get an annual checkup. And in most cases, the environments that you work in, they give you free annuals. Take advantage of that.
And even if you don't have insurance,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of men have a job. And a lot of men make the mistake of not spending some of their earnings on themselves.
Come on, invest in yourself,
Yeah.
invest in your health.
That's correct. Invest in your own life.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. So we want to move on because we want to talk more. Like, how do we get men to um, um, take care or take steps that can improve their fertility? But just before that, no, let's take a break. You want to take a break first? Let's take a break and then we go about with other steps for females and males that will help improve fertility. Because there might be some things, like you said, it's going to take a while in some instances. Because I didn't get any fertility treatments.
Mm.
I didn't go to get any. Nobody gave me any additional medications or anything to take. I just was like, nah, Jesus. You said to be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue, and have dominion over the earth. Now, how you supposed to be fruitful if I ain't got no fruit? All right. So you got to do something, sis. I mean, bro, you got to do something.
Go with
So that's how I got my children. Now, if y'all want to go, I'm not disputing anything and anything, whatever everybody else is doing. You want to go do what you got to do. If the Holy Spirit tell you go and do it, go and do it. But that's how I got my 3 children. All right. But we can talk about that after the break. Let's go.
Mm.
We're going to break now. Only Facebook on with us.
Yes, we're on Facebook. Thank you, Cassandra. That's a beautiful name.
Cassandra.
Cassandra, Christy, Yolanda. Yolanda. Now we talking about infertility, but let's ask the question anyway. Can menopause lower your interest in sex, Dr. Evans?
In some people, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily have to be, but it does make a difference in some individuals.
Mm-hmm. I have a question too, and this question is pertaining to um lubes. In most cases, we notice that even when you're using lubrication that helps with the pH balance, it somehow numbs or causes the right way to say
That's
this,
all
Lord.
right. You're doing okay.
It causes I mean, it's a good thing for the female. The female gets the longer version,
Mhm.
but it. You know what I'm trying to say? What I'm trying to say? That's all. You don't play me.
Help her
I'm
out. Come on,
I'm
help her out.
okay. Let me just be blunt, man. I was
Yeah.
trying so hard to try to be, as
You're trying to be politically correct.
I tried. Yeah, right.
Just
Okay,
say
so
what it
in
is.
some cases, when you use certain lubrication,
Mhm.
it somehow numbs the penis, right?
Mhm.
To the
Mhm.
point where you don't really feel the sensation as much. So you go a little longer.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
What impacts that?
Let me point something out. I noticed you a couple of times you use the word lubrication.
Right.
If you're using lubrication, the lubrication should not have anything to do with numbing the nerves.
No.
The lubrication is only a means of making it comfortable to have intercourse.
Okay.
And one of the problems that many people have, they use the wrong thing and call it lubrication.
That's probably the wrong thing then.
Yes.
I mean, because it says
Is
it
it?
helps with pH balance and all these different things. So it's probably just
No, that's something different.
okay.
Uh, the lubrication is
Hold on.
only to make it easy and comfortable to have the
I need to read
physical
the fine lines then,
activity.
because I've been going no longer
You see?
than usual.
Now, the anesthetic is
Mhm.
something different.
Okay, 1 second. We going back on? So, because just for a radio audience, they might need to hear this too. Okay, welcome back, y'all. We've been carrying on bad in the show. On y'all break, because I mean, I suggest that you come off radio and come on Facebook if you want to hear a couple of these questions. But we were talking real quick about the lubrication and the various lubrications that's a laughing, that that women use, men use too. And in some cases you may have those lubrications that cause you to go a little longer than usual, but you don't read the fine print because you're trying to figure out what's going on. Why we still riding like cowboy and cowgirl? Because we supposed to be finished but 5-10 minutes ago, but we still carrying on. What's happening? But Dr. Evans is saying, simply because there are some things in the
Yeah,
lubrication,
they're two different
and they're
things.
two different things.
Yeah.
So
The,
when you look for lubrication, what exactly are you
the
looking for?
lubrication is only to make it comfortable
Right.
to have the physical activity.
Yes.
That's all the lubrication is. And there are a number of things that can be used very effectively as a lubricant, and some you shouldn't use.
Okay.
You
I
see?
think I have the one, but you shouldn't use. Go ahead.
Now,
I just want to tee Dr. Evans what Tristan is trying to say is that there are some lubrications that are sold as a lubricant, and it says that it's a lubricant, but the
it
key
numbs.
feature of it is
I'm
a
coming to
delayed
that.
reaction.
I'm coming to that. But the point I'm making for you
Yes, sir.
is that, and I'm emphasizing this,
Yes.
is that a lubricant is used to make it comfortable
Yes,
and
sir.
easy to have the physical act of intercourse.
Mhm.
That's what the lubricant is.
Mhm.
Now, that's different from using something to numb the penis.
Right.
I'm saying it plainly so you get my point.
Yes, sir.
Now, there are a lot of men with the problem of ejaculating. We say they come too quick. As I say in my lectures, a lot of men shoot before they dribble.
You can't shoot before you dribble,
You see?
man. Go ahead.
Now, the point is, a lot of men are helped with that by using an anesthetic that numbs the penis so that they do not get the excitement as quickly as they ordinarily would. You see? So, in other words, the nerve endings are numbed,
Right.
so to speak, so that they can go longer before they ejaculate. But that's a completely different situation from the lubricant situation.
Okay, and in that case, that was my fault because I pick up the wrong thing. But that's all right. We could survive from all that. I actually, that's kind of fun. Yeah.
You have to move it forward though. You have to that ain't
Moving
over.
forward, we'll look for the
Anyhow,
real one. Okay, let's go. All right.
that
So
ain't
what are some misconceptions surrounding male infertility and how can they be addressed? One, and for instance, I don't know if you have heard this, but they say that men aren't supposed to be in like jacuzzis and stuff. They're supposed to and another one I heard was you can't wear like you should wear boxers instead of briefs. So these are two things that
Doesn't
I've
ma-
heard personally.
In most men, it doesn't make a bit of difference if you wear briefs, boxers, or anything else, or nothing at all.
So
So,
nothing. What about the hot water, the jacuzzis?
I can tell you in my experience, it has helped a lot of men.
Oh.
Let me explain. Many men have a problem because of the prostate gland. Now, the prostate is very important when it comes to fertility because the prostate, along with another structure called the seminal vesicle, the prostate is responsible for producing a lot of the fluid, the liquid portion of semen. And if the prostate is unhealthy, then the semen will be unhealthy, which can affect the viability of the sperm because sperm are very sensitive to their environment. You see? So keeping their prostate healthy is very important. Now, I often see men very frequently with inflammation of the prostate. We call that prostatitis. And a prostatitis, a prostate with prostatitis is not a well prostate. It's an ill prostate. And many men have problems because of the inflammation of the prostate. One of the best things for prostatitis is sitting in a tub of warm water.
That's something that we should emphasize because I've been married for 16 years, and in that time frame, especially times that we were trying to conceive, we would hear Don't make sure you don't go in hot water and jacuzzi and da 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 da.
Those are myths. Um, one of the frequent, um, one of the most frequent causes of prostatitis or inflammation of the prostate, for example, is caffeine.
Ooh.
Now, I see this almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
I see men with prostatitis because of their intake of caffeine. This is such a frequent problem that I usually make this statement. If all caffeinated beverages were taken off the market, many urologists would go out of business. That's how much problems caffeine causes among males,
Mm-hmm.
specifically in their genitourinary tract, including their prostate, which is important when it comes to fertility.
If I
And
can
I
chime
advise
in
my
as well, Coach Trish. So there is also caffeine that has been linked to some of the fertility issues that women have as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as we know, caffeinated stores or shops are on almost every street corner in the United States and
Yes.
are popping up throughout the Bahamas as well. And there is research that has linked caffeine to some of the fertility challenges and hormone. And so, again, it's that education and knowledge that allows for empowerment for individuals on their fertility journey.
Yeah. Someone say, "Wow, caffeine is that much of a problem?" It sure is
it's certain. Well, I'd put it this way: it keeps most urologists that I know in
in
business.
business. Michael. Now, can we talk? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Ask your
No, I just
question.
wanted to add that the part about the hot tub was especially enlightening because I've actually heard the opposite that a recommended fertility treatment for men is to actually take an ice bath, which that's amazing.
Is
I would
that a
imagine that
myth?
it probably does the opposite.
Well, I can tell you, based on over 40 years of experience
Yes.
and dealing with it almost every day, it's the opposite.
Wow.
Let's talk about the emotional impact that infertility has on both men and women. I know particularly an issue with women. So I want to start with Dr. Taz first. And then, of course, we're going to ask Dr. Evans. But Dr. Taz, as you coach these women, the various um, issues that they bring to you, I'm most certain that most of them are, in tears. They are despondent. They lose hope. So what are some of the emotions that you get or that you hear when you coach these women?
Mhm. Yeah, there is all of that, what you described. I mean, it's very discouraging when, one of the things we as women believe that we're created for is to give birth, to have children, to, you know, carry on a legacy of creating a family. And so when it does not happen, it sometimes hits the core of who we are as a woman in terms of, are we adequate, right? And so it's hurtful, it's painful. I mean, I remember for me, I always was like, I just want to make my husband a father. I
Yeah.
want I want him to be a part of the daddy club. You know, his brother was, his cousins who he grew up with, they all were. I just wanted my husband to be a part of the daddy club. And so for me, it felt like the one thing that I felt as a woman I was created to do, I had challenges in doing. And, throughout my life, I was a great student in school. I did what I had to do. I was, quote unquote, some may say the church girl, right? And so when it did not happen, you know, after my husband and I, as I would say, we were having fun when we first got married. We were young. We were in our early 20s. Um, I thought, what could be wrong with me?
Yeah.
What could be wrong with me? And so, yeah, that I think is the emotion that a lot of women go through when they're trying to conceive and it's just not happening.
Was there at any point where you gave up on God?
You know, my first pregnancy loss, which I was pregnant with twins who I thought were our miracles, like we finally
Yeah.
had, right? Um, I was broken, but I still held on to my faith.
Mm.
And I remember making a pact with God, right? Okay, Lord, this was bad. This was painful. I mean, and the thing was I was visibly pregnant. I think I was about a little over 5 months pregnant. And um um my pact with God was that, Lord, if we're gonna go down this road again, I prefer not to, like, let's not go through having this pregnancy. Let's not just go. I prefer not to have a child. Like, but if we can get pregnant again, Lord, like, we're going all the way. We're going all the way. And so when I became pregnant again, I had another loss. Um, God, did you forget me? You know, um, what did I do? You start to wonder, you look over your walk and your faith, and it's like, what was it with me that resulted in you forgetting me? And he has an interesting way of how he speaks to us, and I think he speaks to everybody differently. And for me, there was, and I talk about this in greater detail if you want, if it's in my book, literally the blow by blow. He literally, there was a scripture in the Bible that I had gotten from the night before and not knowing I had it. He had my husband to read it to me the very next day when I had a conversation. I had a literal conversation with him, walked around our neighborhood with our dog when I was like, God, you forgot me, and I don't see how this is supposed to work going forward. And I came back in the house, and my husband pulled up the scripture that I had gotten the night before in this set of books, and he turned right to that, not knowing that was what he was about to read. And it says, "How can I forget you? A mother can't forget a child who's sucking on her. I have your life written, engraved, and something that's engraved. You can't get rid of it engraved, something that's engraved, right? Your life is engraved on the palms of my hand. I can't forget you."
Ooh, child.
I'm like, and when I think about my hand and I look at my hand, these are things that we look at almost every day and we use every day. And God had to tell me he had my life engraved on the palm of his hand. And so it was in that season where he really was coming at me with some specific things on my fertility journey that I needed to do, and reminding me that through it all, he was still with me.
I love that. I know that that encouraged someone today. In fact, I want to talk a little bit more about ways that we can, trust in God. Just, know. I'm going to talk about that, but I want to talk to Dr. Evans about the emotional impact on men first. Let's do that. Dr. Evans, do you have men that come in and are vulnerable with you regarding their emotions with trying to conceive with their wives?
Not much at all.
No.
Most men think that emotions belong to women.
Mm.
That's what most men think. Not realizing that they themselves are human. You see, and all human have emotions.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Um, Sometimes a man will come in who is quite emotional, but that's rare. It's usually the female who
Mm.
feels it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. It's only in I shouldn't say recent times, but traditionally, we connect psychologically, we connect pregnancy with a female. We
Mm.
don't generally think of men when it comes to pregnancy, but emotionally and otherwise, men are connected to it too.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I would say this: if I had my way, when a woman goes in to deliver a baby,
Hmm.
or even if she delivers the baby at home, I'd make it mandatory for the daddy to be there.
Of course. Most definitely. Most
He'd never be
definitely.
the same again after witnessing the birth of his child.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Absolutely. So here's a A response from Facebook says, yes, I felt like a huge failure. Plus, the word miscarriage feels personal, like I miscarried, like it dropped, like I dropped the ball. God helped me to see that all of those thoughts were lies. I love that. I love the fact that, she knew that, hey, I can depend on God to go through this. I don't have to be deceived from the enemy to tell me that I'm unable to or incapable of conceiving a child. When God promised us that we should be fruitful, when He promised us that we'll have a quiver full, right? There are so many different promises that He has for us as women and men regarding having children. And Dr. Taz even shared one, as nursing and suckling at the breast. These are things, especially, let me tell you something, when God gives you especially a vision, and I shared this with Dr. Taz before. I said, when He gives you a vision, you don't think He'll have the provision for it, no matter what it is, no matter what it is. So in my instance, when we conceived, when I stopped worrying, we conceived when I said, God, I give this back to you. We conceived when I stopped trying to time when I ovulated. We conceived when I stopped trying to leave my leg up for 5 minutes because the old woman in the church told me after he done do what he had to do, keep your leg up and let it stay like that for 5 minutes so it could flow through. Because I was not that, because you could be conceived, you can conceive in different ways, in different manners, believe it or not. But in that situation, I was trying to be in control. And God said, well, hey, while you trying to be in control, I'm going to put my hands up like this, or I'm going to put my hands behind you. I'm going to wait on you to realize that I am God. I
Yeah.
am He.
Yes.
I am going to wait until you realize that I am the creator of everything. Nothing that exists without me being the one to
Yeah.
create it. So until I got that was when, the conception came. And not only did it came, it stayed. And we went through 9 months through it all. All right. Of course, I still prayed. I still covered my womb and everything during that process, those 9 months for three of my children. But nonetheless, I trusted Him. And the second pregnancy was going well up until a certain point where, please, y'all, I'm trying not to be as graphic, but I was playing with my 1.5-year-old son. And as I was playing with him and I got up to get something, there was this gush from me, and I called my gynecologist and I explained to him what happened. He said, hey, I think you've misconceived, miscarried. So he said, this is the time that my husband was off the island working. And so he said, just pack a overnight bag just in case, let's go. And I had my son with me. My mommy was to work. Daddy was somewhere. So I was like, oh God, how am I supposed to do this? I packed it anyway. And I had my son with me as I was out. And I said, walking to the car, I said, if you take this child from me, I trust you so much that you can give me another one.
Yes. Yes.
I said, if you take this, I trust you. No matter what happens, I trust you. I did not cry. I did not cry. I said, I trust you. I went in the car. I went to the doctor. It so happened that I think one of my fibroids popped or something will cause the issue in there, right? Which is another thing because we didn't really talk too much about fibroids, but that was the issue from one the reasons why I was unable to conceive because I had a bunch of fibroids. Okay, blocking the. But we're gonna talk about that later because I want to talk about the real reason why Dr. Taz and Dr. Evans are here today, and that is because these two, among so many others, are actually preparing for a conference that help women and men who may be experiencing issues with infertility or who just want to know more about ways to conceive when they actually get to that point where they want to start trying and the dynamics of it all. Because listen, the flyer that I saw Dr. Taz have, I was like, hey, I know him. Hey, I know her. Hey, I know. And these people from all over, I mean, we have, and she's going to talk more about it, but infertility clinics like Barbados. I know I have a
Oh, they
very
won't be.
close relative that went there and stayed there till she had three of her children and then she came back home. all right, from that particular fertility clinic. And I'm gonna let Dr. Taz talk a little bit more about that. Let's go, Dr. Taz. Let's talk about what you're doing, what God has blessed you with,
Yeah.
this vision that He gave you so that you could be a blessing to so many others.
Listen, I sometimes ask him, Father, why you give me these assignments, Father God? But I trust him with the experience. I trust him with the process. And I told him that I'm going to walk it all the way out.
Come
I'm
on.
going to walk it all the way out because I know that there are individuals who are desirous of building their families and are without hope. They don't have that, education or resources or information that they need. And sometimes it's only one piece of information. I'm hoping that tonight somebody may have gotten just one thing that they
Come
need to
on.
do differently on their journey that is going to help them see the miracle that they have been praying for. And so, we are getting ready to host the Fertility Empowerment International Conference on
Yes.
April 4th and 5th at Atlantis Resort. And I can tell you, those 2 days, y'all saw what we got this evening. Yeah, what Dr. Evans dropped this evening. And Dr. Evans is going to be one of our amazing panelists that are going to be
Hmm.
at the conference, one of our speakers. Um, we have an amazing lineup of experts and doctors. Some of the individuals who will be there include Dr. Jacqueline Penn Knowles, who is actually partnering with us on this event from the Women Care Reproductive Center and Diagnostic Center there on
Hmm.
Marathon Road, Marathon number 33. She's a doctor who specializes in IUIs. So there may be people who didn't even know that's something that we have in the Bahamas. I can tell you it's available at her facility.
Can you tell them what is IUI?
Yes, yes. So IUI is intrauterine insemination. So,
Hmm.
like Dr. Evans was starting to share how sometimes there may be some men, their sperm may, not be exactly the way it needs to look or whatever.
Hmm.
They can help to, get the sperm and actually see some of the good sperm and have those ones placed directly inside of the uterus, and so that it can
Hmm.
swim its way to where it needs to go,
And she
right?
does that.
She does that. Yes,
There you
she does.
go.
She's done
Hmm.
she's had training in this particular area. So, and it's an amazing clinic right there on Marathon Road, Marathon number 33. And
Hmm.
so Dr. Penn Knowles will be there and she'll be speaking as well. We also have Dr. Kimball Pomeroy. He's an embryologist who's coming in out of the US. He's a chief science officer for IV fertility. Then we have Dr. Kimberly Phillips. We were talking about some of the challenges with the things that we may put on and how that could be impacting, what's going on. So she's a very holistic doctor. She's coming in from Phillips Medical Center. She's going to be sharing as well. Then we have our very own Dr. Mikhail Higgins.
Hmm.
They call him the fibroid slayer, right?
Yeah.
He will be there and he will be presenting. He's the medical director over there at Bahamas Medical Center. Then we have Dr. Ferranda, Dr. V, some people call her, who's an OBGYN. She's also local. We have Dr. Evans, one of our best urologists that you could find anywhere in the
The
world.
best. Hmm.
He will be there. We have Dr. Christine Parker Curling. Now, what's so special about Dr. Curling is she's an endocrinologist. And some of you say, well, what does endocrine have to do with, fertility? Well, for our women who are struggling with PCOS
Yes.
is actually endocrine disorder. And so she will be there and she will be sharing on how that, um, the metabolic makeup your and what's going on within you could be impacting your fertility journey and some of the things that you could possibly do to help improve that. We also have Sasha Audie. So Sasha Audie, she's the executive director for the PCOS Challenge out of the United States. And she has a network that has grown from her personal journey. Over 15 years ago, she established this network. They're up to now, I think about 60,000 members around the world. She will be in as well and be speaking from that front. And then we have our very own also, Marlene McKinney. For those who don't know, she's a certified nutritionist. Sometimes we don't
That's
realize
impressive.
what we put into our bodies
Yeah.
have an impact. Now, something else that I am very excited to share, our keynote speaker. Our keynote speaker that's coming to us is Dr. Alina Chipman Leaks.
Hmm.
And she is, as we would say, she's a daughter of the soil. And she is an executive director that started a school. I think it's called Atlanta Unbound Academy in the Atlanta area. And her fertility journey is so profound, profound, and some of the things that she has had to go through. And one of the things that we don't hear a lot about is surrogacy. And so that's an area, it's a new conversation
Mm.
that we haven't heard of very often in the Bahamas. But here's one of our very own who actually today have two miracles as a result of her fertility journey, not being able to carry children, but now have two biological children via surrogacy. And
Wow.
so Dr. Alina Chipman will be there. We also have some fertility warriors that are coming from throughout the length and breadth of the Bahamas, including some of the Bounty Islands, breaking their silence and sharing their journey and some of the things they have done to either conceive or those who are going through and how they are still holding on to hope. When I tell you we have curated, I think, the best ever fertility conference that you're going to
I
find
think so
anywhere in
too.
the world, you got to be there. And this is not just for those who are going through the journey, but if you have somebody in your family who is struggling with infertility or may have experienced pregnancy losses, you want to be in the room.
Yeah.
If you are a business leader or a government leader or a church leader, and you are wanting to understand how you can better support your community and how to better understand some of the challenges that they're having. See, the thing is, we often think, oh man, they just can't have a baby. Oh man, they just need to pray more. Oh man, like we have all these misconceptions.
Yeah.
Some Dr. Evans spoke to this evening that we don't realize we don't know as much as we think we know. And so sometimes we be, how do I say, spitting off of the mouth
Yeah.
certain things that don't make no sense for the person who's going through it. So if we truly want to support them and empower them and help them on their journey, we too need to be educated on what is actually happening to support them effectively. And so we
Amen.
are inviting those, business leaders, HR, especially HR leaders, right? Looking at benefit opportunities for their employees and their associates. We're inviting them to be in the room. Some people don't know, but we actually have insurance carriers that provide fertility benefits in the Bahamas.
In the
And
Bahamas?
yes, in the
Child,
Bahamas.
they all been. Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be recognizing some of the corporate entities that are even already providing fertility benefits
I love
within
that.
within the Bahamas. There's a lot of growth and opportunity here to support those that are on their fertility journey. And so we're truly inviting others to come and join us in the space at Atlantis on April 4th and 5th, where they can truly be empowered on the fertility issues that exist in the country.
Dr. Taz, can you share how they can get more additional information, more information on
Yes.
this?
Yes, absolutely. And I think I saw somebody posted in a chat there. I think it was Cassandra earlier. So if you're looking for tickets, you want to go to fertilityempowerment.org, or you can also go to Dr. Taz, my website there,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
drtaz.com. You can also, there's the link there, Eventbrite,
Mm-hmm.
just search Eventbrite for Fertility Conference at Atlantis, and it'll probably pop up. Um, Also, if you're somebody who's like, man, I don't like to deal with the online stuff, I don't know how to figure that piece out, you can actually go to the Women Care Center on Marathon Road, Marathon number 33, where you can, and I see it here, yeah, Miss Brenda has put it up there, Miss Rigby, you can actually go there and get your tickets in person. So there's no excuses. You can be in the room. And some folks may say, well, I can't do the 2 days. You can come and do one day. You could do one day, either one. But I can share with you, we're so grateful as well to have the Ministry of Health on board with this particular event. They
That's
will be there
amazing.
in support of this event. And we have some other things that we're working on. I can't share just yet, but I'm so excited to see the progress that we're starting to make in bringing this issue to the forefront that not just impact women, as we have discussed this evening, but also men. This is a community issue.
Come on.
This is about building our families, because at the corner of it all, if we don't build our families in this country, what are we doing? Because what
What
I
are we
don't
doing?
want to happen, what I don't want to see happen, Trish, and this is why I'm out here,
Yeah.
is 10 years or 20 years down the road, like Dr. Evans said, we're a population of 400,000. We should still be continuing to grow, but
Yes.
that we're not recognizing that globally 1 in 6 persons are struggling with infertility.
Yeah,
1 in 6.
absolutely.
1 in
Listen,
4.
I want to congratulate you and the fact that you're doing this. This is big for the Bahamas, and obviously this is inaugural because we gonna make sure we have you back, coming back doing this. And if it's not here, you do it somewhere else. But you bring in some Bahamian people wherever you are. But it has to happen because people
Yeah.
need to be aware. You know what it is, and having everything pertaining to fertility, everyone in one room.
1 room.
Okay, you
1
have
room.
absolutely no excuse. The Bible said we perish because we lack knowledge. It also says that it is through knowledge that the just be delivered. So here it is that you not knowing that, hey, all I have to do is get a little checkup. All I have to do is correct something. From my husband may have that issue. He didn't go get checkup. We just continuing and continue thinking it's just me. That little inch of knowledge can make a huge difference for you having your baby in your hand, your child in your hand. And can I just put this in here because we're closing up now? I have to tell this for those who are tuning in, especially the church mothers. You know, with all due respect, I love you all to that. Oh Lord, I love you all. But for goodness sake, could you please stop going to these couples and asking them when they're making foot for socks? Could you please stop pressuring these couples who just get married, but a couple of months ago, trying to figure out what's going on, why you're pregnant yet, and you're pinching them on yes on their side. I ain't see nothing coming out yet. Could you leave them alone? Because I was one of them that was being pressured. All right. And at the end of the day, in fact, not even the end of the day, while I'm in the vehicle with my husband, my eyes teary in my head to the wall, to the glass, so that he won't see me crying.
Mhm. Mhm.
That ain't
Mhm.
nothing to play with. All
Mhm.
right. If you see a little while ain't nothing happening, leave them alone. Go in your corner and you pray. We love y'all for that. We love y'all for just praying for couples because that's all you need to do right now. Unless they come to you and
Yeah.
say, hey, I want to share something. Please don't impose. All
Mhm.
right. And another thing, and I shared this earlier and I want to share it again, don't rush the process. God makes all things
Yeah.
beautiful in his
Fine.
time. As for God, his way is perfect. This is word, this is scriptural. All right. Stop trying to rush things. Nothing is going to happen until it's time. And when you put your hand in it and you mess it all up, then you go back to God with your fist and you're trying to figure out what happened, what's going on, whatever, whatever. That's because you wanted to do it your way.
Mhm.
Some people mess things up because they try to do it their way. Be
Mhm.
still and know that I am God.
Yes.
He creates all things. Give him a chance to show himself to you.
Mhm.
I wanted to share that. And in closing, I just want to ask Dr. Evans, what advice can you give other couples who are struggling with infertility and seeking hope for their own journey? This is a personal advice that I want you to share with the listening audience.
I like what you said. Lean on God.
Mhm.
He has the solutions, even when we don't.
Yes,
In fact, especially when we don't, He has the solutions.
uh,
That's important.
that's
Very
important.
important.
That's important. Thank you,
Yes.
sir. Dr. Taz, in closing?
Yeah. And let's not underestimate the power of prayer. I know some people may say that sounds cliche, and that's why one of the things we're going to also have at this conference is a hope prayer room.
Come
At any
on.
point during the conference where facts are being shared and you need somebody to intercede for you, just come on in the room. We're going to have somebody praying for you
I
and
love
believing
that.
and knowing that God is still able to do what he said he's going to do in his perfect time. That's the last chapter in this book, by the way. God makes all things beautiful in his time, which he absolutely does.
I love that.
One,
I
one, one thing before you go, I want to say this. Many times there's a question that people ask me about the age factor.
mm-hmm.
Should a man be able to produce into after a certain age?
Yes.
And what about older men?
Right.
Should they be able to produce a pregnancy?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's my answer. Ask Abraham.
Oh shoots. Come on, sir.
Come on now.
All
And
right.
ask Sarah, right? Ask
Ask
Abraham.
Sarah. Okay. Come on.
Yes,
They know. They
yes,
know. And as we're gonna go off that note, because child, that was a hot one right there. All right, that one was hot. Now, if you need coaching in any area of your life, including premarital coaching, knowing how to restore your marriage, how to stand for your marriage, even when you feel abandoned, or how to build a relationship, please go to my website, www.yourlanelifecoaching.com, and schedule a booking. I would love to help you improve your life and your relationship. We will play a rebroadcast next week, episode 22, with Apostle Raymond Wells, entitled Facing the Things You Fear. I think that's most relevant now, especially with this topic. Some things that we fear that we never going to this is not ever going to happen to me, or I may miscarry again, or whatever have you. Dr. Raymond Wells, is he a doctor? I don't know. But Apostle Raymond Wells has some really good nuggets to share regarding that. And you want to go ahead and tune in next week, because next week is Easter. We want to spend time with your family, relax and enjoy. But for Odessa and Beats, because they ain't on my run. If I come here, I be by myself, because they ain't gonna be here anyway. No, but seriously, we're gonna play that, and I think it's most fitting. And I want to thank my sponsors for your Lane Talk Show, which are the Perfume Bar, John Shoe Store and Accessories, Your Lane Life Coaching, Nor Rice and Pasta Sides, distributed by Asa H. Pritchard. O. Henry Candy, distributed by Asa H. Pritchard. Libby's Vienna Sausages, distributed by Asa H. Pritchard. And guess what, Dr. Taz? I completely forgot this, but guess what? I'm going to send the number out, or if you want to link WhatsApp 1242-376-8689, or send a message in Your Lane Life Coaching message. If at any point of time you heard this show and it blessed you to the and for a fact that you and your husband, you and your spouse have been trying to conceive for a while, and you really want to go to, now listen how specific I am with this particular thing. You have been trying to conceive, you really want to go to this seminar, you want to go, and you're trying to conceive, all right? We want to bless you with a ticket to come to this event. So the number to text is 1242-376-8689, or you can Facebook Your Lane Life Coaching, all right, on Facebook. Send a message there and say, yes, my husband and I have been trying to conceive. We want the information that you all are talking about so that we can know how to go about on this journey. And the ticket will be, yes. Dr. Taz, is one ticket or two?
We have actually one. We were planning on,
One.
but you know what? You know what? You know what? If that one person is bringing somebody else along with them, um, no, we want to give it to two different people. I would say
Two
that.
different people.
Yeah,
So so we get the first two people then. That's good, Dr. Taz, because
yeah,
the one person who get the ticket may want to, you pay, your husband, y'all can pay for that. I don't want for your husband. But
yeah.
let's get two different people to come, because we want to help you. Yeah, I know you've been praying, you want to go to this thing, but right now the budget isn't really looking, too right for this particular event.
We
But
have a
we
code
got
for
you
your
covered.
we have a special code for your guests as well. If they use
Go
the
ahead.
code HOPE, Hope, because that's what it's all about. If you use the promo code Hope at checkout, it's actually going to be 50%, 15% off.
Ooh,
15%.
so you still okay. So if you don't get this and this don't apply to you, but you want to be there, you want to get more knowledge, you're a pastor, you are a mentor, you're a coach, you are someone in the medical field, you want to be to this event, you put in the code HOPE, HOPE, and you get 15%. Dr. Taz, the Lord blessing you today. Hey, glory. Yeah, God blesses her every day. Don't mind me. All right. So she's doing that for those who are listening and tuning in, because you have no excuse, man. You want to be here. I already know a few people
They have to
right
get it by
now. Top
tomorrow.
of my,
They have to get it by tomorrow. They have to get it
you have
by
to get
tomorrow.
it by tomorrow. So start
Yes.
between now and tomorrow morning. Please get it, because they can take that off like that. All right. So we're closing out now. I want to thank you, Dr. Joseph Evans, for being a part
It's
of the
been a
show.
pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Latazia Stuart, Dr. Taz, for always bringing that energy, always bringing information, insight for us. And we are grateful for you. And we thank God for you. We thank you for this vision that He's placed within you to help so many people. I wish this was here 16 years ago. I wish you had done this. But anyway, if that was done, then I wouldn't have known how, faithful God is. So I had to go through my process in order for
Yes,
me to get
yes,
here.
we all
All
know.
right.
Yes.
So, and everything in its time.
You have your
But
own
I
testimony.
I
you
have my
know.
own testimony. To God be the glory. Thank you. Thank you for our producers, Beats, and thank you, Odessa, for always being here on time and showing up. And thank you to my Facebook listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please follow the page, Your Lane Life Coaching on Facebook to get all of the updates and goodies for the show. You can also go to Coach Trish Hanna on YouTube to watch the previous shows. And when you are there, please like and subscribe. I pray that you were all empowered, educated, and encouraged today. And until next time, happy Sunday, everyone. God bless you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Facebook audience. Thank you, Dr. Taz. Y'all have a beautiful Sunday. Drive safely, Dr. Taz. Well, you ain't driving nowhere. You.
I, I was supposed to fly, but I can't. It wasn't safe to fly.
No. We
So
would have been so happy to have you on board. But of course, we
yeah,
know how what happened to us this weekend. So God
yes.
bless you. And
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you. It
Thank you.
was
Thank you.
wonderful. All
Thank you.
right.
All right. Blessings.
Bye bye, everyone.